According to a recent Harris Poll survey, 75% of women in perimenopause say they're eating clean but still gaining weight. So maybe the real issue is how many of us are actually eating enough? If you're constantly watching what you eat, skipping meals, and trying to eat less than 1,200 calories a day, ugh. It's time to talk about what our body actually needs. Because somewhere between puberty and perimenopause, we were sold a lie. A lie that smaller portions equals smaller pants. Sure, that might have worked back when our hormones weren't staging a coup, but in our 40s and 50s, not so much. In today's episode, I am peeling back the curtain on how undereating is messing with our midlife metabolism, and why eating less in perimenopause is one of the most common weight loss mistakes I see. So, grab a quick potty break and a snack, because girl, you probably need one. And I'll be back and break it all down in less than 90 seconds. Welcome to Are You There Midlife? It's me, Monica. Hi, I'm Monica Topetti, wife, mom, health coach, and hormone imbalance survivor. And I'm on a mission to help women in midlife balance hormones naturally without drugs, doctors, or divorce. Are you tired of dealing with heavy, painful periods that look like a crime scene? Are you sick of struggling with anxiety, fatigue, or brain fog that... What was I just saying? Are you frustrated doing all the things to lose weight but still packing on pounds faster than a real housewife changes Birkins? Girl, you are in the right place. Join me each week as I spill the tea on what to expect in perimenopause and beyond. From IBS to insomnia, bloating to funky body odor, I'll unpack all the weird stuff happening inside our midlife bodies, plus give you the latest science and holistic solutions to manage it all. So ditch the Spanx and hop on board the Hot Mess Express. Let's do this. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back to the show. Okay, so I don't know if you've looked at the calendar lately, but summer, it's right around the corner. And the panic is real. If you're anything like me, I used to go into full freak out mode about a month or so before summer vacation. I'd start tracking every food bite, skip breakfast because I, quote, wasn't really hungry, and I'd give myself a virtual fist bump for hitting my daily calorie goal. But once I hit my 40s, my go-to pre-summer scramble stopped working. I'd still do all the things, cut back, eat clean, hit the gym, basically survive on rice cakes and peanut butter. But the weight would not move. Here's the real. Most of us in midlife are walking around underfed, overstressed, and yet completely confused why the scale is climbing when we're barely eating enough to keep a hamster alive. According to the Journal of Women's Health, 1 in 3 women over 40, that's nearly 30% of us, eat significantly less than our body actually needs to function. And we don't even realize it. Because contrary to what we've been taught to believe, food is not the enemy. We need it. We need it to fuel our metabolism, regulate our hormones, and keep us from raiding the pantry in the middle of the night. The truth is, we've been so focused on eating less for so long, we never learned that our body actually needs more. More nutrients, more consistency, and more support to burn fat without burning out. In episode 72 of the podcast, 10 Stupid Things Women Do to Mess Up Our Metabolism in Perimenopause and Menopause, we actually discussed in detail how years of dieting, stressing, skipping meals, and surviving on caffeine and car snacks finally catches up to us in midlife. If you missed that episode, I'll make sure to link it in today's show notes. Then in last week in episode 73, we talked about the effect GLP-1s have on midlife metabolism and what happens when we suppress our appetite without learning how to eat in a way that supports our midlife bodies. I'll link that episode in the show notes as well. Today we're continuing the weight loss conversation. Today's episode breaks down 3 critical reasons why eating too little, skipping meals, or following outdated diet rules that ignore our hormones can lead to weight gain, not weight loss, in perimenopause and beyond. So let's dive in. The first reason why eating too little can lead to weight gain is because our body is not a math equation. We've been taught that weight loss is a simple formula. Eating less plus moving more equals weight loss. But once perimenopause hits, the math stops mathing. Estrogen starts to drop, muscle mass begins to decline, and the result? Our metabolic flexibility, aka our ability to burn fuel efficiently, starts to slow down. So now we're in this completely different phase of life, and yet we're still trying to apply the same calorie counting playbook from our 20s. Traditional calorie counting in midlife isn't just ineffective, it can actually backfire. Why? Because when we eat too little, our body kind of freaks out. It's like, hey, she's starving us, store everything, burn nothing, hold on to fat like it's a famine in the 7 kingdoms. And when we're freaking out, that causes our body to release cortisol, our stress hormone, which sends a message to all of our other systems to slow things down and conserve energy. Because apparently our body thinks winter is coming and we're out of dragons. Okay, enough of the Game of Thrones references, I promise, but you know we're already losing muscle in midlife due to declining estrogen, right? But did you know that chronic stress, the stress that happens when we continually undereat, can actually increase muscle loss? Yeah. And since muscle is the tissue that helps us burn more calories at rest, less muscle causes our calorie burn to hit the brakes. So we're eating less and burning less. The bottom line, if you've been eating less and gaining more, you're not crazy. You've been doing what you were told to do. It just doesn't work anymore because our hormones have shifted, our muscle has declined, and our body is no longer burning fuel the way it used to. Which leads us to reason number 2 why eating less can lead to weight gain in midlife. It can worsen hormone imbalance. Yeah. When it comes to hormone balance in midlife, the part no one really explains is food. They focus on supplements or symptom tracking or stress management while ignoring that food is foundational. Because when we don't eat enough, that disrupts the internal messengers or our hormones that keep all of our internal systems running. And over time, that disruption can impact everything from our appetite to our metabolism to, yes, even our ability to lose weight. And it doesn't take much. Even subtle undereating, like skipping a meal here and there, cutting back on carbs, or just not eating enough consistently, can throw off all of our hormones. Take leptin, for example. Leptin is the hormone that helps regulate our hunger and our metabolism. Now stay with me here for a minute because this is important. When our calorie intake stays too low for too long, our leptin drops, which means we not only feel more tired, we're also hungrier later in the day and more likely to store fat. That's because our body is wired for survival, not weight loss. And when our brain thinks we're in an energy deficit because our leptin has dropped, it dials up our hunger signals and slows down the amount of calories we're burning in order to compensate. Then there's cortisol. Cortisol doesn't just show up solo. It drags down our thyroid, it destabilizes our estrogen, and it throws our progesterone completely out of whack. And when those hormones are off, weight loss becomes a non-starter. And then there's sleep. Yeah, sleep might seem unrelated to weight loss, but it's where our hormones do their best work. And undereating messes with sleep too, by short-circuiting the exact kind of deep restorative sleep our body needs to recover, recalibrate, and repair. This is more than just beauty sleep. It's fat-burning, hormone-balancing sleep. And here's the kicker. By midlife, the amount of deep, slow-wave sleep we get regularly drops from around 18% in our 20s to just 3 to 4% in our 40s. That's a massive loss in hormone repair time. And yep, it shows up on the scale too. And that's why midlife weight loss can be so difficult. Our body's trying to rebalance our hormones and repair our metabolism, but it's missing the two things it needs most: fuel and rest. Which brings me to the third reason eating less can actually lead to weight gain in midlife. It wrecks our blood sugar and makes it way harder to lose belly fat. Stable blood sugar isn't just some clean eating flex for people who do Whole30. It's essential for weight loss, especially in midlife. Here's the thing. When we skip meals or go too long without eating or just don't eat enough at mealtime, our blood sugar doesn't stay stable. It dips. And when it dips too low, our body sees it as a threat. Enter insulin. Insulin is another hormone whose job is to move glucose, otherwise known as sugar, into our cells so we can use it for energy. But when we're under eating day after day after day, or eating in a way that's erratic or unbalanced, insulin has to work harder just to keep us functioning. So instead of using food for energy, our body starts storing it in our belly. Not because it hates us, but because storing fat, especially in our midsection, is our body's way of preparing for future energy crashes. And if you're thinking, but I'm not eating sugar all day, how can my blood sugar be an issue? This isn't about cupcakes. It's about consistency. Even the cleanest, most disciplined diet can send your blood sugar into a tailspin if it's too low in calories, protein, or just overall food intake. And here's where it gets even trickier in midlife. Because once our estrogen starts to decline beginning in perimenopause, our ability to regulate our blood sugar gets worse too. That means the same go-to foods that once gave us steady energy, like bagels or bananas or granola, can now leave us feeling drained, storing fat, and wondering why we're gaining weight while eating less. And when our blood sugar keeps spiking after meals and crashing in between, it can trigger something called insulin resistance, which makes belly fat way harder to lose, even when we're eating cleaner than ever. So if you're struggling with stubborn belly fat, afternoon energy crashes, or waking up at 3 a.m. wired but tired, that's not just stress. That's your blood sugar telling you it needs more food, not less. Now, if you're thinking, okay, Monica, so how much should I actually be eating? Don't worry, I've got you. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But first, if you've been cutting back and skipping meals and still watching the scale go up, I want to invite you to take my hormone symptom profile assessment at bit.ly/take my hormone quiz. It's free, it takes just a few minutes, and it gives you a personalized breakdown of which of your hormones are likely out of balance and why nothing you've tried is working the way it used to. Now, this is the same assessment I use with clients to help them understand why their metabolism is crashed, why the weight won't budge, what their body actually needs to get back into balance. No needles, no tracking apps, no extremes required. So before you start another low-calorie plan that leaves you starving and stuck, let's get clear on what's actually going on in your body. You can take the assessment now at bit.ly/take my hormone quiz or click the link in today's show notes. Okay, so let's answer the question that's been living rent-free in your mind since I said the word calories. How much should we actually be eating? And here's the honest answer. Way more than diet culture has led us to believe. Most of us in midlife need at least 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day to support basic metabolic function, hormone production, and muscle maintenance. And if we're active, like lifting weights or even juggling stress, well, who isn't, that number's even higher. There's actually a term for this. It's called TDEE, and it stands for Total Daily Energy Expenditure. And it's the number of calories our body burns each day based on our age, weight, height, movement, and muscle mass. And no, you don't need to bust out a calculator or download a macro tracking app to figure it out. Just Google TDEE calculator, then plug in your info, and you'll get a ballpark estimate of how much food your body actually needs to function and feel good. Now, if you're trying to lose weight, a calorie deficit is going to be part of that equation, but you want to keep it small. Cutting more than 300 to 500 calories a day below your TDEE, including workouts, usually backfires. And it takes your energy and your muscle and your metabolism. So if you've been living on a 1,200 calorie diet of energy bars, pre-made smoothies, and diet soda since 2018 and you're not losing weight, you're not failing, you're just undereating. And that's fixable. So there you go. 3 ways eating less backfires in perimenopause. Plus, why eating more might be the secret to finally seeing results. Join me back here next week when we'll continue the weight loss conversation and discuss whether intermittent fasting is actually the fat loss magic trick it's made out to be. Until then, sending you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and fewer hot flashes. Hey friend! Can I call you friend? Because I already feel like we're friends in my head. Did this podcast teach you something, make you laugh, or feel less like an alien? If so, I would be so incredibly grateful if you could take just 60 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe. That is the #1 way you can thank me and support the show. Until next week, stay cool and keep away from sharp objects.